Nigeria's Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, says the Nigeria Air project has been suspended indefinitely. He made this known on Monday at the ministerial briefing to mark the first year of the Tinubu administration. He said the airline was never a Nigerian airline, but an attempt to use a foreign airline to pose as a Nigerian national airline.
I told suspended. It was never Air Nigeria. It was Ethiopian Air trying to flag our flag. It was not Air Nigeria. That is the truth. There was not an Air Nigeria. It was only painted Air Nigeria. It was Ethiopian airline trying to fly our flag. If it is so, why not allow our local people to fly our flag? Why bring a foreigner to fly our flag? So nobody should deceive that it was Air Nigeria. Air Nigeria must be indigenous, must be wholly Nigeria, or must be for the full benefits of Nigeria. Not that 60% of the profit was another country. How does that benefit us? How? It remains suspended. It remains so.
Let's take on election matters now. The Bayelsa State Governorship Election Petition Court sitting in Abuja has affirmed the re-election of Governor Doyediri of Bayelsa State. The Justice Adekunle Adeleye-led three-member tribunal dismissed the petition filed by the All Progressive Congress and its candidate, Timipriye Silva, as lacking in merit. According to the court, the law expressly provided that an election petition must be filed not later than 21 days after the result of an election has been declared, and that such petition must be accompanied by written statements of all the intended witnesses. The three-member panel held that the decision of Silva and his party to file additional proof of evidence and statement of oath for these witnesses long after they had filed the petition is a deliberate attempt to amend the case of the petitioners. Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, says there is the need for scrapping state electoral commissions, which he described as the main impediment to the development of local government. He said this at a one-day discourse on Nigeria's security challenges and good governance at the local government levels, organized by the House of Representatives in Abuja on Monday. According to Fagbemi, governors have latched on to the inadequacies and lacunas in some sections of the 1999 Constitution to undermine and render local governments redundant. He accused governors of exploring the weakness of Section 7, subsection 1, Section 83, subsection 3, Section 7, subsection 5, and others to impose their will on the local governments of the country. The Kano State, we understand that the Deputy Governor, Aminu Abdulsalam, has issued a formal apology to National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, retracting previous accusations of his involvement in the ongoing emirship dispute in the state. In a press conference held at the Government House in Kano on Monday, Abdulsalam expressed regret for the misinformation that led to the accusations against Ribadu. He clarified that the government had been misled regarding Ribadu's alleged role in the crisis. Initially, Abdulsalam had accused Ribadu of complicity in the dispute by allegedly providing 2 private jets to secretly bring the deposed Emir Ado Bayero into Kano. Ribadu firmly denied these allegations and threatened legal action in response.
The National Security Advisor has refuted the allegations and distanced themselves from what we have alleged. I have seen it. He has done it through 3 mediums. And today I have seen the one talking about going to court or providing an evidence. As to why we are.
Now, moving away from that, with the administration of Bola Tinubu marking 1 year in office, we will take a look at his collaboration with the National Assembly and how it has impacted on governance. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, has this detail.
On May the 29th, 2023, President Bola Tinubu took over as Nigeria's 16th president, with much expectations to herald a new era for the country. The new government promised to work with the parliament comprising the Senate and the House of Representatives to bring good governance to citizens. A few weeks after the commencement of the 10th National Assembly, a leadership tussle ensued as the parliament sought to elect its leadership and principal officers. With the ruling All Progressives Congress in the majority, there were disagreements over the nomination of candidates by the party in both the Senate and the House of Representatives.
This will be a guide to you, and I hope you continue from where I left.
The preferred candidates of the president emerged in both chambers.
In a few weeks, we shall be reading out the legislative agenda that will shape the 10th House of Representatives. We shall work closely and interdependently with the executive and judiciary to give Nigeria the good government they deserve.
Some supporters of the candidate said those elected as leaders will ensure a smooth relationship between the legislative and the executive arm of government. However, some critics think otherwise.
Every assembly have their style, depending on who is leading, But so far, so good. There seems to be tilted to the executive in this.
Another important event that played out in the course of the year was the nomination of cabinet members by the president, expected to be screened by the Senate. President Bola Tinubu nominated 45 ministerial nominees and forwarded the latter to the Senate for approval.
Congratulations on your nomination.
After several days of screening, 45 ministerial nominees were approved, with 3 candidates dropped.
Even if we are able to generate 13,000 megawatts today, our transmission infrastructure can only do 5,000, maybe 6,000 at best. So the second major constraint to electricity supply in Nigeria is the transmission infrastructure.
We have no choice but to give him that required support. And I can assure you, if I'm confirmed, whatever capacity, Mr. President will not regret nominating me.
On the 29th of November 2023, President Bola Tinubu presented the 2024 budget to a joint session of the parliament for approval. After weeks of dialogue with ministries, departments and agencies, the National Assembly finally approved the budget, however increasing the initial estimate of 27.5 trillion naira to 28.7 trillion naira. With the budget passed and signed by the president, work by the new government was expected to begin. However, several weeks after, a drama ensued as one member of parliament accused his colleagues of padding the budgets. This sparked counter-reactions as some other members of parliament accused the lawmaker of mischief and bringing the image of the Senate into disrepute.
Please, can you allow me to, Mr. President, perusing through the budget. First, we discover humongous anomalies of repetition. We discovered some senatorial districts in this particular document. Some senatorial districts have up to 120 billion.
I told Ningi in here that he made a mistake, that he should stand up and apologize to us first, then apologize that, look, this even figure that I'm looking for 3 trillion is here.
Abdullahi Ningi was finally suspended for 3 months by the Senate, a decision that did not go well for many Nigerians. This, however, brought the issue of budget padding to a rest within the National Assembly.
Despite the fact that you have multiple number of political parties, opposition political parties, all of them appears to be quiet by force because of fear of lack of not getting, benefits or fear of being sanctioned.
The parliament then went into a recess to engage with members of their constituencies.
It is our duty to justify the trust vested in us by diligently addressing the challenges facing our nation and striving for the betterment of society.
For the 3 years left for the current administration, the expectation of most Nigerians is that the parliament will live up to its responsibilities and ensure that Nigerians reap the dividends of democracy. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonk Joseph.
The Lagos State Ministry of Environment and Water Resources on Monday commenced the removal of shanties and illegal business structures under the Jora Bridge in fulfillment of the Cleaner Lagos initiative. The state's Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, said the demolition of the shanties was done in accordance with the law. This followed a 24-hour notice served on the illegal occupants and business operators squatting under the bridge by operatives of the Lagos State Environmental Sanitation Corps. In a statement issued earlier by the Director of Public Affairs in the Lagos Waste Management Authority, Folashade Kadiri, the government had announced its intention to clear illegal squatters from the Jora underbridge over environmental concerns. We'll go on a short break. The news continues after. Do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. The Nigeria Customs Service, in charge of Adamawa and Taraba, has seized premium motor spirit worth over 12 million naira at the Sahuda-Cameroon border. The customs controller in charge of the zone, Garba Bashir, disclosed this to newsmen at the command headquarters in Yola, the state capital. Bashir said the officers and men of the command would get tired of fighting all forms of smuggling in Adamawa and Taraba. I guess that is, they will not stop fighting, get tired of it. President Bola Tinubu, on the occasion of Children's Day, has celebrated Nigeria's children, describing them as the bearers of the nation's torch into the future. The president said his administration is sparing no effort in ensuring that Nigeria's children have a solid footing for the realization of their dreams. According to a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajiri Ngelale, on Monday, President Tinubu emphasized that his administration will continue to expand access to qualitative education for all Nigerians. He reassured the nation of his commitment to ensuring a safe and secure ambience of learning for the children while improving the standard of education. Staying with Children's Day celebration, a day of appreciation for children, the nation's future leaders. It is a time of festivities and reflection. As the country commemorates this day across Nigeria, the air vibrates with excitement and worry. News Center's Chidimma Ona compiled this report.
Children all over the world are every nation's indispensable treasure. As Nigeria celebrates its Children's Day today, schools often close their doors, allowing children a day of rest and allowing the families to spend quality time with the nation's future leaders and changemakers. The day was established in 1954 as Universal Children's Day. It has been celebrated since then on different dates in several countries. But in Nigeria, it is marked on May 27th and observed as a public holiday for children. These future changemakers, who hold immense significance, are speaking about the better tomorrow they want to experience.
I want a better Nigeria, better leaders that could lead my country, so I have a brighter future in this country.
Good citizen in Nigeria. And I also want to become a doctor to treat people well.
A better country where there will not be suffering, where people will not die. Like where everybody will have something to eat.
I want Nigeria to have the best economy in the whole world.
I want Nigeria to be better than how it is right now. To be in a more better state by the time I grow up, so that I can lead Nigeria.
Days like this underscore the importance of prioritizing child well-being. The somber tone that engulfs the country due to the current economic challenges serves as a powerful call to action to invest in the future by ensuring every child in Nigeria has the opportunity to thrive.
Because they are children, they rely on us, the adults, the stakeholders, the government, everyone to ensure their protection, their development, the survival, even their participation across board.
Beyond the celebratory atmosphere, Children's Day serves as a crucial reminder of the work that remains. Continued efforts to safeguard and build back better for the future of the nation's youth is paramount.
Governor Alex Oti says soon the state government will arrest and prosecute parents and caregivers who fail to enroll their children of school age. The governor, who stated this while addressing the gathering at the Children's Day celebration at the Umuahia Township Stadium, said the government will back this up with a law. He also made some pronouncements in special education for the challenged and all school children generally.
Legislation will prescribe penalties for any parent who refuses to bring out his child for education. We also do know that some parents may be challenged. In the Ministry of Education, we are working out ways where we will institute scholarship system that will work, not just for the educationally advantaged, but for the disadvantaged also.
Some children roam around the streets, they are not going to school, it's not good. All child is supposed to be in school. At least there's supposed to be provision for free education.
The governors give them money, or their parents or the society money, so that they can be able to put those children that cannot be able to go to school into school.
You're watching News Central now. We'll go on a short break. We have more stories on the children and others to stay with us. The news continues in West Africa. The Malian army says it inflicted heavy losses on jihadists and lost 5 soldiers when it repelled an attack in the west of the country. It said it had repelled the attack in the western village of Modia, about 200 kilometers north of the capital, Bamako, inflicting heavy losses of life and property on the terrorists. The army said that a large number of terrorists were neutralized, dozens wounded, adding that 5 of its soldiers were killed and dozens also wounded. Several Malian soldiers were killed in February in a major attack blamed on jihadists in the same area. Early voting began in South Africa's general election on Monday, as those who must work on polling day or have special needs were given a chance to cast their ballots. According to the Independent Electoral Commission, around 1.6 million out of the 27.6 million strong electorate were allowed to go early. Election agents will visit 624,000 people with mobility issues at home, while essential workers will attend polling stations 2 days earlier than the general populace. On Wednesday, the rest of the country will be called to vote in South Africa's 6th general election, 3 decades after the advent of democracy in 1994. The vote could prove a historic turning point if, as opinion polls predict, the ruling African National Congress loses its absolute parliamentary majority for the first time. Staying with the elections, with few days to go, political parties wrapped up their campaigns to lure voters to their side over the weekend. The African National Congress ANC was ending its rally at the FMB Stadium outside Soweto in Johannesburg, days after days of door-to-door campaigns, addressing public meetings and engaging different stakeholders, including churches, business people, artists, traditional leaders and others. The ANC wrapped its election campaign with the ANC president, Cyril Ramaphosa, addressing its supporters. Ramaphosa said He is confident the party has a solid election manifesto which will take it forward. My colleague, Bongani Siziba, gives us details of the story.
Just a few days before the crucial elections, the ANC is pulling out all stops to rally support and secure votes. It was a sea of black and gold over the weekend at the FNB Stadium as the ANC governing party officials and supporters gathered for the final rally before the elections. President Cyril Ramaphosa gave that final speech to his supporters and those who doubt the ANC's ability to bring about positive change, challenging them to believe in the governing party.
Together, we will do more and we will do better. We come together in the spirit of peace, of love, of humility, on the eve of one of the most important elections in our country's history.
He further outlined the key priorities that the ANC will focus on when voted into power again.
The unemployed and the middle class, we are addressing needs like food, housing, healthcare, and wages. We will prioritize food security, including VAT exemption on essential items, support communities and home gardens, and take action against price fixing. We will expand subsidized basic services like electricity, water, and houses for the poor through the indigent program in our municipalities.
Thousands of supporters listened intently, but the question is, will this enthusiasm translate into votes for the ANC?
No, we have to defend the movement of the African National Congress, because this is the only liberation movement that can save the African continent, including the youth of Africa. Remember, the reason why we're voting African National Congress, the other opposition parties, they want to get away with the basic condition of employment act, which is DA want to move away it because they want to pay our youth 20 rand per hour.
In ANC done many things, RDPs, a lot of things for people. So at this time, after the vote, I'm telling you, maybe ANC will do more.
Among the crowd, the youth stand out, each one reflecting on why they continue to support the ANC despite the challenges of unemployment, water shortages, and other issues in their communities. Even the first-time voters expressed their faith in the ANC.
I am the first-time voter and I'm going to vote for ANC. I'm here today because of ANC and the things that they have contributed, like school-wise, like the houses that we have and the water. I appreciate the little that we have.
As the ANC's last rally before the elections come to a close, the question remains, will President Cyril Ramaphosa's speech be enough to secure victory on the final day? Only time will tell. In Soweto, Johannesburg, for News Central, Bongani Siziba.
We'll go on a short break. The news continues after. Stay with us. Good to know you're still with us. In Soshanguve, a sprawling township in North Pretoria, residents say they live in fear of the rampant lawlessness as one family mourns their young child killed during a violent carjacking. Crime has also become a hotbed issue ahead of the May 29 general elections.
We're even afraid to get out of our houses at night. We're afraid to drive our cars at night because of this crime that's happening in Soshanguve. I think that the cops need to do something better than what they are doing now. We are prisoners in our own homes, and this has to stop, really. We are going to elections. Who are we going to vote for with crime? It's like this. So really, it's hurting. From the bottom of my heart, it's hurting.
if you stay around this area, you've got to be very much vigilant because anything is possible. We don't see the police patrollers. We only see them when the incident has happened like this one, when somebody's dead. We'll see minister coming. We'll see most of the cars that are the police around, but during the day or during when, you'll never see even one car of the police patrol in the area.
Over the weekend, South Africans and other African nationalities living in South Africa celebrated Africa Day at the historic Vilakazi Street, once home to world icons Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu. The 25th of May every year is a day set aside to celebrate the African diversity and cultural heritage of its people. This year's Africa Day celebration also coincides with South Africa celebrating 3 decades milestone of the country's constitutional democracy. Celebrated under the theme Celebrating 30 Years of Freedom, Building a Better Africa and a Better World. News Center's Bongani Siziba has more.
The procession is a beautiful display of unity, with each flag representing a different African nation coming together as one and symbolizing unity among diverse African cultures.
It is a very important day that we are celebrating after the initiation of the Africa Free Trade Agreement, which will now integrate all of us in our economic activities and also ensure beneficiation of our minerals in the African continent, which will benefit the people of the African continent. We are also glad that the last organ of the AU has also signed the protocol or passed the protocol on the empowerment of youth and women in the economy. So we believe this will further integrate and mainstream young people of the continent and the women of the continent in the mainstream of the economy.
This day is a very poignant celebration for us as a people of Africa. We're celebrating our Africa Day. We're celebrating our unity as a continent and embracing that and encouraging the people of the continent and our country, South Africa as well, to embrace each other as a people of Africa, but also to continue that journey of us working together as a people of the continent.
Various cultural groups, each representing its country, took it to the dance floor, showcasing their unique traditions and leaving the audience wanting more. It's a celebration of diversity and unity.
It's good to see all of us here as Africans united together, all borders broken. And we wish that this could be a remembrance really of us as a people, of where we are, that despite our borders, despite our differences, despite everything, we are still one people.
Unity is strength. If African countries are coming together, unite themselves, it strengthens us and it gives us a good lifestyle. I think it's very important for us to come together as African countries and be one.
For those looking to soothe their taste buds, traditional African food was on display, adding a burst of color and flavor to the festivity. It was a day filled with culture, unity, and delicious food.
It's a hope. That kind of situation is the right way to go to support each other, because we are a fellow South Africans as an African continent, that we're able to come together and celebrate so that we can be able to break the barrier of the boundaries that we do have, because we are one nation, you know, from Cape to Kara. We should be able to travel freely and embrace one another and support each other.
Impressive, because most of the countries are united here. It shows that we are one.
As the day progressed, the spirit of Africa Day lingered in the air, reminding each attendee of the rich tapestry of cultures that make up this beautiful continent. Whether you are South African, Zimbabwean, Malawian or Nigerian, this celebration showcased the beauty of our differences coming together to form a harmonious whole. It is a testament to the fact that despite our diverse backgrounds, we are all united as one African family. In Soweto, Johannesburg, for News Central, Bongani Siziba.
In North Africa, an Egyptian appeals court on Monday upheld a one-year jail sentence for opposition politician Ahmed al-Tantawi. Tantawi, who had hoped to run against President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the election last year, was found guilty of election campaign irregularities in February. The former lawmaker was also barred from running in parliamentary elections for 5 years, according to human rights group, the Egyptian Commission for Rights and Freedoms. The Matarea Misdemeanor Court also upheld sentences against 22 members of Tantawi's campaign team, including its director, Mohamed Dea. They had been convicted of circulating election-related papers without official authorization in the lead-up to the election, which Sisi won in his third landslide victory. Central Africa, Human Rights Watch on Monday voiced concern over alleged extrajudicial killings after a thwarted coup attempt in the Democratic Republic of Congo and urged the government to investigate. Armed men attacked the home of the economy minister early on May 19 before moving on to the nearby Place de la Nation that houses President Felix Tshisekedi's offices in the capital. Army spokesman General Sylvain Ekenge said at the time that the plot was led by Christian Malanga, a Congolese and naturalized American who was among those killed by security forces. But Human Rights Watch said Congolese security forces killed Malanga in unclear circumstances hours after he seized the Place de la Nation. China's Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning says that Beijing opposes the visit of U.S. lawmakers to Taiwan, the first congressional visit to the self-ruled island since it swore in a new president. The spokeswoman also hits back at the G7 finance ministers' concerns about the country's trade policies and industrial overcapacity, saying that Beijing would reject any countermeasures.
了解，我想说的是，过去40多年，中国经济取得的成功是改革开放的成功，也是市场机制作用和政府作用有效结合的成功。中方不接受七国集团单方面认定所谓非市场政策和措施的标准。事实上，少数西方国家针对特定国家、特定企业采取的歧视性做法，才是真正的非市场行为，构成了对市场的扭曲。 美国有关议员不顾中方强烈反对，执意窜访台湾，违反一个中国原则和中美3个联合公报，也违背了美国政府作出的仅与台湾保持非官方关系的政治承诺，向台独分裂势力发出严重错误信号。中方对此坚决反对，已向美方提出严正交涉，将采取必要措施，坚决捍卫国家主权和领土完整。
Citizens in Papua New Guinea are attempting to clear modern debris following a deadly landslide which buried thousands of people alive. The village of Hanga province was almost wiped out when erosion flooded the city and smothering scores of homes and the people sleeping inside them. The government said that more than 2,000 people have been buried in the landslides that destroyed a remote highland village and is pleading for international help in the rescue effort. The landslide has continued to shift slowly, posing ongoing danger to both the rescue teams and survivors alike. The level of the disaster necessitates prompt and cooperative efforts to address it. The UN has been urged to inform Papua New Guinea's development partners and other international allies about the emergency. We'll be right back with more news, business stories and sports. Do stay with us. Nigeria's first quarter GDP results for 2024 are in, and they present a bit of a puzzle. The economy grew at 2.98%, exceeding the same period last year, but falling short of the growth achieved in the fourth quarter of 2023. This is particularly interesting considering the Positive Purchasing Managers Index, PMI readings. Earlier on Business Edge today, Abiodun Kayode Ali, Senior Manager, Tax and Regulatory Services, PwC Nigeria, joined the show and shared his thoughts.
Appreciable growth, and the reason for that is because if you consider that the first quarter, that was where we had lots of festive periods. I mean, a lot of buying and selling, preparation, people traveling, and even those who are most of our folks in the diaspora are coming into the country, probably because it's cold over there, coming into the country, coming to see home and spending time with families. So you would expect a lot of activity. So you can understand why sectors like transportation sector were growing and booming, and why activities generally were actually growing in the fourth quarter of 2023. But when you begin the year, people begin to return, people begin to go back to work, and they begin to plan in anticipation for the future. Spending is not that quite much in the first quarter of the year. So one other thing that you can also think about based on this report, if you remember the first quarter of this year, we even had, or towards the end of last year, we had issues with power, right? We take, for instance, the
Ghana's cocoa regulator will borrow up to $1.5 billion by September to finance 2024-25 cocoa purchases and compensate for low output. Two cocoa board sources with knowledge of the arrangement said this at the weekend. The world's second largest cocoa producer after neighboring Ivory Coast uses an annual syndicated loan to finance bean purchases from farmers. It is usually agreed at the start of the season in September, but this year's $800 million loan faced delays due to low cocoa output so far this season. Cocoa Board has since withdrawn $600 million and cancelled the remainder as the season's cocoa output is seen almost 40% below forecast, unable to guarantee the full loan. Nigerian international Victor Osimhen has been included in the 2023-24 Serie A team of the season. Osimhen made the 23-man list unveiled on the official social media channels of the Italian Serie A. Osimhen, though not as prolific as he was during the 2022-23 season when he finished as the Serie A top scorer with 26 goals and guiding Napoli to their first title in over 3 decades. Finished the 2023-24 season with 15 Serie A goals. Despite his performance, Osimhen ended the season as Napoli's top scorer and third highest scorer. Only Inter Milan's Lautaro Martinez and Juventus' Dusan Vlahovic scored more goals than Osimhen. And that's where we wrap things up at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Federal government suspends Nigeria air project indefinitely. Malian army neutralizes scores of militants. Early voting on the way in South Africa. Would like to hear from you. Please send your eyewitness reports to the number on your screen. We'll also enjoy your company on social media, and there you can get updates as well. Our handle is @NewsCentral TV. You can watch live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later.
At Digboye, let's talk.